Hey, hey, it's Tuesday.
And can you believe April is almost over already?
My birthday is in 2 weeks, I think. Like 2 weeks? 3 weeks. 3 weeks. My birthday is in 3 weeks. I suppose time flies when you're having fun, even though we're still in the middle of a panini.
Well, it does. I'm Amber.
And I'm Alex, and this is another episode of
True Crime and Chill. Today's case, Alex, I'm afraid is going to hit a little bit home for us for a couple reasons.
It does. It's really sad. I would also like to say, if I look like death and I sound like death, it's because I am death.
She has allergies.
I have really bad allergies. The South is trying to kill me, everybody. Don't move to Tennessee.
Before we get to it, I want to start on a happy note. Did you know we're at 1 year since we started the podcast?
Wait, seriously? No, I wanted to do something special for it. I wanted to have a little banner thing, and seriously, man, I've really been, I've been slacking. Okay, you know what? Next week we are gonna have by the end of the week, we're gonna have a celebratory video or something. Maybe we could release our bloopers and stuff, because Lord knows we have a lot of them.
Yeah, we do.
But I mean, wow. Damn, has it really been a year? I feel like it hasn't gone by that quickly because we've been in quarantine for most of it. Yay. Okay, this is great. I'm so glad people are listening to us. We have a great group of chillers that we regularly interact with on our Facebook group page. So I love you guys, and it's great. And you guys give me laughs every day with the memes that you post. And we have over 16,000 downloads of our podcast. Actually over 15,000 views on our YouTube channel. And surprisingly, only 1% of those are mean comments. So yay, internet!
We really enjoy discussing these cases with fellow fans and also helping people get their stories out there. Stories like Karen Bodine and Robbie Kreitz.
Okay, so this week is another story we're kind of hoping to bring the attention to. Obviously, if you live anywhere in the Washington and Oregon area, you know this case. But there are some people over here on the East Coast who don't really know the case. So we want to bring the attention to this case for everybody, so hopefully the family can sleep without wondering what happened to their little boy.
And just a reminder that we are not professional investigators, nor are we any sort of law enforcement. We are simply fans of true crime, just like you.
So while we're happy to help get these cases out there, including adding information to our website at truecrimeandchill.com, as some of the unsolved cases we cover have more information comes to light, please remember that we are human, and we read every single mean comment that you put out there.
We read the nice ones too.
But we love our fans. We love everybody who supports us. And yeah, thank you so much for the people who do send the nice ones.
With that being said, let's talk about the case of a boy missing from Portland, Oregon, Kyron Horman.
Yes.
So just to be clear, I'm going to go through the timeline of this case so you can see how the events unfolded and make up your mind about it yourself. I chose to leave a little bit of some of the drama out, but I didn't intend to end up pinpointing any one person. But
even though it's super obvious,
I think the answer seems obvious. Then again, we're only armchair detectives here. Also, there's a lot of names because a lot of people have been involved in the search for Kyron. I may get one or two of them wrong, and I apologize for that in advance.
Again, I reiterate, we are only human. Please correct us nicely, and we still love you.
So, all right. On June 4th of 2010, 7-year-old and second grader Kyron Horman arrived early to Portland's Skyline Elementary School with his stepmother, Terri Moulton Horman, to tour a science fair set for that afternoon. She took a picture of Kyron in front of his poster about tree frogs. It became the last known photograph taken of him.
This kid looks super cool already. If you know the Kyron Horman case, you've seen this picture. It has been out. This kid had a very detailed thing about the red-eyed tree frogs, and quite
it's
honestly,
a great display. Yeah,
the display is pretty cool. He's got a little CSI T-shirt on. He's smiling for the camera and everything, and he's just a cute little kid. And I saw some interviews that his mom had done shortly after he went missing and stuff. And they always just talked about how happy he was and like what he was into and stuff. And so like I can kind of see it in this picture. It's really cute. But the photo will be on our website, True Crime and Chill, along with other sources and photos about this case as well. So
That day, Skyline Elementary opened at 8 a.m. so students and parents could tour the science fair. Terri and Kyron Horman arrived shortly after the school opened. Kyron was supposed to take part in both the science fair and a talent show. At 8:15 a.m., Skyline PTA President Gina Zimmerman arrived at the school and saw Kyron with his stepmother in front of his exhibit. Terri Horman says she left the school at 8:45 a.m. after watching Kyron walk towards his classroom. At 9 a.m., another student reported seeing Kyron near the south entrance of Skyline. According to Sheriff Dan Staton, that was the last time Kyron was seen, though Multnomah County authorities later backtracked on that statement. Class began at 10 a.m., and sometime after, his homeroom teacher, Christina Porter, reported Kyron absent.
So did they, like, call his parents and be like, hey, why isn't Kyron in class? We saw him earlier. Is everything go okay?
I couldn't find any reports that say that they did. And, I mean, this is weird to me. See, I know that in our school district, if a kid is absent for part or all of the day, the parents get a phone call, especially for a second grader. If my second grader didn't show up for school in the morning and I forgot to call saying he was going to be absent, the school calls to make sure I know he's not there.
So I know, okay, so when I was in high school, we wouldn't get the call, like they wouldn't call the parents until the end of the day. So, and I know this because I skipped class a few times.
Sure.
So
but
like
this
I was
isn't high school, it's second
no,
grade.
I'm getting there. So when I was in school, they wouldn't call until the end of the day. Middle school, let's see, when I lived on the house in 6th Street, I was going to Stevens. Middle school was about the same way. Elementary school, it depended on what elementary school you went to. And I honestly think that after Kyron went missing, a lot of the schools kind of started changing their stuff. Because when I was in elementary school, I was gone for half the day for a doctor's appointment. And my dad didn't call and say, hey, like, she's going to be gone or whatever. Like, we didn't even have a note. I just showed up halfway through the day at lunchtime and went to my class. And the school didn't call my dad until later that afternoon. And I know that because my dad had, like, seen me and he was like, hey, did you give the school your note? And I was like, what? No, you never gave me one. That's when he remembered he never gave me a note. But he said, like, and that happened frequently. Like, they wouldn't call until the end of the day. The teachers would just make like a note and then send it. And back in like 2010, I think that was when they were because that's when I graduated high school. And so they had just started rolling out the online stuff then and stuff for like grades and all that stuff or whatever. So like everything was slowly starting to get more online instead of teachers taking paper attendance, running down to the office, doing all that and stuff. So what might have happened is she may have done paper attendance, turned it into the office. The office didn't look at it until later and then called his parents, went, hey, Kyron wasn't in these classes today. We noticed that he wasn't in these classes. Is something going on?
Right. But they didn't seem to call at all. I didn't hear anything about it. And
no, that's weird.
Right. So next at 1:21 p.m., Terri Moulton Horman posted that picture of Kyron and his project to her Facebook page. Terri and Kyron's father, Kane Horman, went to meet the school bus at 3:30 and discovered that Kyron had been absent from school all day. That's when they found out, not earlier.
See, and that's really weird. Like, a school should be, like, I get it. You got hundreds of kids at your school, and I know that the school that he went to, especially in Portland, there's a ton of kids. It was busy, and it was busy that day, and it was just interesting.
It was a busier day, but there was only 300 kids in the school. At least that's the report that I saw. So that's not a lot.
But still, they should have really, like, called.
They should have. I agree. I'm not saying, like, it's not like, oh, he's missing, file an Amber Alert right away. I'm just saying they should have at least called and be like, hey, is he okay? He's not at school.
Yeah, there's something going on.
Right. Terri and Kyron's father, like I said, they went to go meet the school bus. And then at 3:46 p.m., the school secretary, Susan Hall, called 911 to report Kyron missing. Because at that point, they realized he hadn't been in school all day. They thought he'd been in school. Something was wrong. Yeah. About 45 minutes later, the officers from Portland Police Bureau and the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office arrived simultaneously at the school and Kyron's home.
Yeah.
An hour later, at 5:30 p.m., a broadcast was sent to phones of parents in Portland public schools that read, Kyron Horman did not arrive at home today.
So effectively an Amber Alert.
Right, exactly. At 7 p.m., Multnomah County Sheriff's Detective Sergeant Lee Gosson alerted Sergeant Travis Goldberg, the county's on-call coordinator for search and rescue efforts, of the need to begin a formal missing person search for Kyron.
Yeah.
So between 7 and 7:15 p.m., the Multnomah County Public Information Officer began to return messages from members of the media and arranged to meet them at the school. Sometime between 7 and 7:45, Sheriff Dan Staton personally called the FBI to alert them to Kyron's disappearance. So they took it really seriously from the beginning, which is a little different than some of the other cases that we've covered.
Well, because he's a child. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
He's under the age of 10, and I found that if they are under the age of 10, they take it a lot more seriously.
Yes. The first search terms arrived at Skyline School at 8:09 p.m. and shortly after at 8:15, Lieutenant Mary Lindstrand also arrived at the school and met with those present. She then began emailing a photo of Kyron to the local media.
Yeah.
Deputy Mark Heron, the search and rescue coordinator, arrived at 8:25 p.m. and at 9:48 p.m., Mountain Wave, an emergency communications and search and rescue group based in Gresham, also arrived at the school. So we got a lot of people showing up and a lot of people searching for him. And at 10:40, officers reported they had completed a search of the school itself, including crawl spaces, storage areas, classrooms, outbuildings. They also searched the Horman house. And by at 10:44 p.m., a tipster had called 911 to make sure officers checked the train tunnel in the area near the school. The caller said sometimes kids play in there and want to make sure that that's been checked.
Yeah. So essentially they were taking this like super seriously, which is something that needed to happen. I mean,
right.
Because like I've heard of cases where like it's like, oh, well, he may have run away, but then I see like it's a 7-year-old. So they may have taken it a little more seriously, especially since she was dropped off at the school, but at the same time it's like I feel like maybe it was because it was a smaller town. They were able to start doing stuff a lot quicker than...
This is Portland.
Yeah, but it's still a tiny... Like, Multnomah County, yeah, it's a part of Portland, but they're a closer area, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like... Oh, gosh, what's her name? There was a girl who went missing in Washington. Multnomah County, if you've been to it, it's like it's in Portland. Yeah, it's considered Portland, but it's a little bit smaller community and stuff like that. So they were able. I feel like they were able to kind of, oh, okay, this is not right for this kid.
Right.
Like obviously, like his teachers and his parents were like, no, this is not okay. This is not okay at all.
Right.
Like we need to do something here.
Well, they were clearly doing their best to leave no stone unturned.
Yeah.
So on Saturday, June 5th, another search group, Pacific Northwest Search and Rescue, was called by the sheriff's office at 5 a.m. When they arrived on site, 60 to 70 people were already involved in the search. By 9 o'clock, the Associated Press received its first official notification that Kyron was missing via an email with the subject line, Sheriff's Office continues search for 7-year-old Kyron Horman. That morning, helpfindmychild.net, a UK-based missing child site, created a page for Kyron, and a tip line was created at 503-261-2847.
It's interesting that a UK place did it, but all these numbers and information is found on our website, True Crime and Chill. Like everything will be here. But it's interesting that like a UK-based website did it, essentially. Like that just kind of just shows like how far this case has reached too.
And it really did. It went, clearly it went globally. So everything, including the Facebook page, the GoFundMe, and the numbers to call are all going to be on truecrimeandchill.com.
Yep.
At noon on Saturday, sheriff's spokesperson said during a press conference that the search for Kyron was still a missing person case and not a criminal investigation. Around that time, the Portland Public Schools District used its rapid broadcast system to alert staff and parents of Skyline school students who were at the school Friday to come to the school on Sunday for debriefings by police and federal agents. The oldest students were advised to arrive at 10. Kindergartens and first graders were supposed to arrive earlier. So 2 news conferences were held that day, one at 4 and one at 8. And authorities announced the FBI and the National Guard had joined the effort at this point. So search and rescue crews completed an immediate grid search around the school. And that night, around 10:30, the Facebook page was created for supporters of Kyron and his family. And the page still remains active today. And as we said, the link is on our website, truecrimeandchill.com. So next, on Sunday, June 6th, Terri Moulton Horman posted on Facebook at 8:58 a.m. saying she had ordered missing person flyers. She said, and I quote, "I ordered 1,000 flyers. They will be coming to our house. I will let people know when they are here and we can go from there. Thank you, everyone." That morning, the FBI announced they had brought in a Quantico, Virginia-based profiler to create a profile of the boy.
I mean, if they're bringing them in, then obviously they're taking it seriously. But my thing is like, did they think something else was happening? Like, because it's like you look at other kids' missing cases. Like you look at Amber Hagerman, who actually started, her case was actually the one that started the Amber Alert, and you look at like all these other children who have gone missing and stuff, and it's like I remember when the Gannon Stout case was happening in Colorado, they brought in the FBI once they realized that it wasn't a runaway. Right. But like you have all these other cases, and it's like, but they brought in the FBI because they thought that something else was going on. They didn't bring in the FBI because they were like, oh, there's just another missing person. They brought in the FBI because they thought there was something else going on. Well, so my mind kind of goes to, if they're bringing in the FBI at this case, then did police, like did local police see something or hear something or know something that they didn't quite say to Kyron's real mom and dad?
Here's my thinking. So he was obviously at the school that morning, right?
Yeah.
I think their fear was that somebody came on the grounds and took him.
Then it could happen again.
That put all of the other students in danger.
And it could happen again, yeah.
Right. So personally, that's what I think. I could be wrong, and it's just an opinion. But that's probably why they started really taking this as seriously as they did. Because if somebody came on the grounds and took him, that's a big issue for every other kid in the school.
Yeah, and that's definitely a huge thing. Like I feel like because it did happen at a school, it is a bigger concern, but at the same time it does kind of make me wonder, like, did they know something in the beginning that maybe they just don't want to release right now due to the fact that it's evidence that whoever took Kyron would know.
Right. Also, technically the case is still open, for the record.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you that they took it very seriously very quickly, and that's mildly suspicious because they don't do that for a lot of missing kids cases. But like I said, I think it's because of the situation of how it was unraveling. Around 10 o'clock, the first of 300 students and their parents returned to be interviewed by detectives, and 50 detectives were on hand for interviews that continued until the evening. That afternoon, around noon, Kyron's relatives began distributing missing person flyers with a photo of him and this description: 3 feet, 8 inches tall, 50 pounds, blue eyes, brown hair, last seen wearing black cargo pants, white socks, and worn black Skechers tennis shoes with orange trim. And at 3:30 p.m., Portland Public Schools Superintendent Carol Smith appeared at a news conference and outlined a series of immediate steps the district was taking to address security concerns in the wake of Kyron's disappearance, which is the other reason I think they took it so seriously.
Yeah.
The Multnomah County Sheriff's escalated Kyron's disappearance to a missing endangered child case at 9 p.m., but did not call it a kidnapping.
So, for people wondering, why didn't they call it a kidnapping? Is because they have to be very careful with how they choose their words.
Yep.
Because the thing is if they go out and they say, this child has been kidnapped, but in reality, this child may have run away, or this child was kidnapped but dropped somewhere else, and somebody found this child and was trying to return them, that person could get seriously injured by the public thinking this person is the person who kidnapped this child.
Right.
And stuff. So they always have to say, hey, it's a missing endangered person, like stuff like that. They don't really say this child was kidnapped unless they have a person to say that this person kidnapped this child, or they have a description of somebody, like saying, like, again, with the Amber Hageman case, like I go back to that, I think it was her little brother who said that Amber was grabbed from her bike by a man, by an older man, the little brother described him or whatever, by an older man in a truck, and grabbed from her bike and just shoved into a truck. And so, like, from there, they were able to say, no, this little girl did not run away. She's not missing, like, she's not a missing endangered child. She is kidnapped and she is endangered. Like, that's how they do it. But it's just, I don't know. Like, it's just, there's just so many similarities between this case and a different case that we're going to be discussing probably later on the season, maybe next season. We don't know yet. But it's just interesting because it's like a lot of people, because like I remember when I would read up on these cases and like the comments on Facebook and stuff, well, why is it called missing endangered? Why can't you just say it's kidnapping? And it's just like you got to be very careful with how you pick and choose your words, because the public is a very dangerous and very helpful solution when it comes to these kind of things.
Yep. Yeah, it's a fine line.
Yeah.
In the early morning of Monday, June 7th, 18 certified search and rescue volunteers resumed sweeping the area near the school as deputies canvassed the neighborhood, handing out flyers and documenting license plate numbers of passing vehicles along Northwest Skyline on Wednesday, June 9th. Search and rescue crews resumed their search of Kyron in the morning, and Terri Moulton Horman made her Facebook wall private.
Normally, I would say that's not a unusual thing, but after some cases I've seen where certain people are involved, like I personally, if my children went missing, or like if I had stepchildren and stuff and they went missing, I keep my Facebook page locked down and private anyways, just because like anything that has to do with the podcast, I have public and stuff. So, or like some kind of random meme or something or whatever. Like if I had stepchildren that went missing, I would definitely be having their face plastered all over my Facebook public with information. So that way, because okay, in this day and age, if a child goes missing, a person goes missing, somebody's murdered, anything happens, and they have names in the article, you can't say that you don't go to Facebook and search that name and try to figure out like what you can't say it. You're a liar if you say that you don't, because we all do it. And if that ever happens and somebody comes to my Facebook, they can see like this child all over my Facebook and be like, okay, like this is what we need to look for and everything. But at the same time, I do understand how like the media and the public can look at certain things that somebody posts or say and be like, well, you're not grieving in the right way. Like another case that happened that I'm referencing a lot, the mother, she grieves her son, and but she shows that she's happy because she's got two other babies. And there's a lot of comments that are like, well, you don't seem like you miss him that much, blah 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 blah. And it's like, okay, well, you got to understand, like, she's got to keep together for her two other kids,
right?
And that's the thing.
But also, I mean, people can come after you. I mean, we've talked about this repeatedly.
Oh, they can come
the
after
media
you
comes after you. People come after you. It is what it is.
Like, I feel like if Scott Peterson had a Facebook and the time, like if it was normal, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. So, but at 11 a.m., FBI spokeswoman Beth Ann Steele said the Horman family, quote, is not speaking to the media because they do not believe it's in the best interest of finding Kyron. And at noon during a news briefing, Multnomah County Sheriff's Captain Mike Schultz read a statement from Kyron Horman's immediate family that said, Kyron's family would like to thank people for support and interest in finding their son. The outpouring of support and continued effort strengthens their hope. We need for folks to continue to assist us in our goal. Please search your properties, cars, outbuildings, sheds, etc. Also check with neighbors and friends who may be on vacation or may need assistance in searching. There are a lot of resources here to help you search, so please don't stop. It's obviously a difficult time and they want to speak to the public. So you can hear it from Kyron's family as they come together to share their message. Their objective is to keep the focus on Kyron and not about anything else. By Friday, the search was expanded to Sauvie Island, and Kyron's family appeared then at a news conference for the first time that afternoon. The search resumed Saturday morning, and the sheriff's office asked the public to hold back on further donations of food, water, and other supplies for searchers because of, quote, the sheer volume of supplies received at this point.
I mean, it's really good to like see the community rallying like this. Like I remember when the Gannon Stout case happened, like within like a day, like the entire Lorson Ranch community, because Lorson Ranch, where he went missing from, was it's like their own little tiny community. And I've met a lot of great people from there and stuff. And within a day, they were like organizing search parties. They were organizing, like literally the moment he was reported missing, there were people who were out looking for him all night in the pouring rain, like searching everywhere and stuff. And so it's really nice when communities get together to try and find these kids.
Yeah, I agree. However, on Sunday, the sheriff's office announced at a news briefing that the massive search for Kyron had ended and the case was now shifting to a criminal investigation.
Which
The
means they
search was
found
one of the
something.
yeah. The search was one of the largest in state history, with more than 1,300 people from Oregon, Washington, and Northern California looking for him. A 2-mile radius around Skyline School and parts of Sauvie Island, which is about 6 miles from the school, were also searched. The sheriff's office also announced it was looking for any video footage of traffic on several Portland area roads near the school. Around 100 t-shirts with an image of Kyron's missing poster were distributed for free. On the following day, Monday, the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office sent divers to Sauvie Island, where they would be seen wading in waist-high water off the banks of the Multnomah Channel north of the Sauvie Island Bridge.
So generally when something is updated from a missing, like kidnapped investigation to a criminal investigation, that usually means that 1, the police found something. 2, if they're not making any arrests at the time, it means they found something, but it's not enough for an arrest to happen.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't update it to a criminal investigation without having any kind of plausible proof. That means blood, hair, fiber samples, a note, a picture, something. Like it's something. And it doesn't have to be anything big. And again, something that the public needs to remember is the police are not, they're not there to tell you everything.
Nope.
A lot of people, I remember with the Guinness Stout case, a lot of people were like, why are they telling us this? Why aren't they telling us that? Why aren't they telling us this? Because you as a public don't have a right to know. If you want to be able to catch the person who did this, you have to be careful about it. And that's what the police are doing. And like if they upgraded it to a criminal investigation, it means they found something and they were looking at someone.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that, oh, we found something, we're going from there. No, they found something and they were looking at someone. If they were searching these specific areas, it's because they thought, okay, that's because this person of interest was either seen out there, there were phone pings out there, something. There was something that placed them out there, something. And again, the Kyron Horman case happened in 2010. Like I graduated June 18th from high school. I graduated June 18th from high school. So this was happening during like my last few weeks of class and stuff. And I remember seeing it on the news. I remember reading about it in the paper. I remember seeing it in magazines. Like I remember thinking about it and I remember thinking, something isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
Something isn't right. But again, I was 18. I was starting my life. I didn't really care about anything else. I really wasn't going to dig into it. But then I started digging into it more after, once it came up again and stuff. But the fact that they were looking in certain places and the fact that they updated to a criminal investigation, they found something. They found something, but they just didn't have.
They also, though, can switch it to a criminal investigation if they no longer believe that the missing person, is alive.
Usually, yes, but they
week,
usually don't switch it to a criminal investigation until a few months after the person goes missing. Few months, sometimes a few years. If they switch it anywhere between a week to 3 weeks after that person goes missing, then you know they found something. They either can't say it to the public, obviously, or they don't have enough proof yet to go after the person that they're looking at.
Well, Tuesday, June 15th, was the last day of classes for Skyline for the 2009 to 2010 year. And around noon, the sheriff's dive team was spotted on a property near the Horman home. According to a sheriff's spokeswoman, the search of a pond on the property is routine. That same day, 30 billboards with Kyron's picture and information went up throughout the metro area. 10 in English, 10 in Spanish, and 10 in Russian. The billboards were donated by Clear Channel, and that evening, a vigil for Kyron was held at Sunset Presbyterian Church.
It's really hard, especially with all of that, like to keep finding like, oh, hey, this kid's probably alive and stuff. And I really hate to say that because I'm a mom. I have 2 kids. I would want to be holding out hope and everything. But as a person who's going through criminal justice classes and stuff and who has seen this play out in real time, like it's not looking good. Like that's the thing.
No.
And when kids go missing, it's not a surprise that, like, I remember a lot of people like, oh my God, they're searching the Horman property. Like, why are they doing that? When kids go missing, the first people looked at are the parents.
Well, not
The
just that,
mom.
but what if he was playing in the yard and landed in the pond? I mean, it's not necessarily suspicious per se.
But how would he have gotten home from the school after being seen at the school last?
Well,
So
maybe he ran away and he went home because he didn't want to be at school. I'm not saying that it's not suspicious. There's plenty to be suspicious about, and it gets even more suspicious as we go on. I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
it's not weird for them to search the property like that. And if there's a pond in a nearby property, yeah, I'd want them to search it too.
yeah. But I mean, they're gonna search it, but they also search the house and everything. They search the parents.
Right.
And then search because it's just like if a child goes missing, if a spouse is killed, if anything is like that, they always search the people in the inner circle first. Because contrary to popular belief, if your child is murdered or kidnapped, it's usually done by somebody that they already know.
Right.
Less than, like, I think it's like 1% is like done are stranger abductions and stuff. So
To make matters worse, that following Thursday, rumors lit up on social media claiming that Kyron's body had been found. But
yep, I remember that.
they were just rumors. On Friday, June 18th, the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office released a flyer asking parents and kids about the day Kyron disappeared. The flyer included photos of Kyron, Terri Moulton Horman, and a pickup similar to the one she was driving that day. That afternoon at 2 p.m., Captain Jason Gates said at a news conference that the family approved the flyer and he dispelled rumors that Kyron's body had been found. At 8:30 p.m., a friend of Terri Moulton Horman told the Oregonian that she would undergo a second polygraph the next day.
So, one, like, okay. Okay. One, we all know how unreliable polygraphs are. Okay. We all know how unreliable polygraphs are. But at the same time, like, why would they want her to take two? Like, if she took two polygraphs, did she fail both of them?
Right.
Like, it makes me wonder why. Because, like, as far as I remember, his dad didn't have to take one. His mom didn't have to take one. I think his mom is married, so I think he has a stepdad and stuff. So his stepdad didn't have to take one. So there's 4 parents, but they're only singling out one parent to take the polygraph test. And fun fact, not so fun fact, you can actually buy passing polygraph results online. So didn't she take 2 polygraphs and, like, fail?
Yeah.
So
Well, now,
why are they so they're obviously looking at her.
obviously, yeah. But now we get to start adding family drama.
Yay. I mean, okay, don't get me wrong, when stuff like this happens, especially when it's a kid going missing, it either brings the family closer or it tears the family apart. I mean, look at our last case we did and stuff, like, where her mom and dad divorced.
Yep.
And stuff because of it. And so it really that honestly is not a shock, especially because the mom and dad are already divorced. They're already married to other people. Tensions are high. Like, and then you have the media looking at them at every single interview.
And I didn't really talk about it in this, but tensions continued to get worse between Kyron's birth mother and birth father. Like, they actually went on Dr. Phil at one point to air their grievances with one another.
Yeah, and I mean, Kyron's stepmom was on there too.
Yep.
Yeah, like, she was saying that the media had told her to lie and she was supposed to lie to the media and everything and stuff. Yeah,
I do mention her being on Dr. Phil later, but not about that. So yeah. No, some people just don't know how to handle their grief, and it ends up affecting those around them. So on Saturday, June 26th, the first of 2 911 calls was made from the Horman residence off Northwest Sheltered Nook Road, and it came at 5:17 p.m. Apparently, the first one came as a threat call, and a sheriff's deputy responded. At 11:39 p.m., the second call was made from the Horman residence, and the call has been classified as a custody issue. At some point Saturday, Kane moved out of the family home, taking his 19-month-old daughter, Kyron's sister, with him. On Monday, June 28th, the July 5th edition of People magazine hit newsstands, the second issue to feature Kyron's story. Larry Moulton, Terri Horman's father, told the magazine that she'd been subjected to repeated interviews of up to 6 hours each, and that the truck she was driving the day Kyron disappeared had been inspected twice by police. When people asked him whether he thought his daughter would be arrested, he replied with tears in his eyes, "It's 50-50."
When your own dad doesn't fully believe in your innocence, then, like, that's saying something. Like, when your own flesh and blood doesn't
For the
believe in your
record, it's
innocence.
her adoptive father,
But
but I
still,
agree.
like,
The man who
when
raised
they
her.
don't believe in your innocence and the fact that,
Yeah.
like, Kane had moved out of the home,
Mhm.
like, I understand having family issues. I
Right.
do. I understand having family issues. I understand being under an immense amount of stress or whatever. But if the parent of the child who is missing is moving out of the home to get away from the step parent,
Yep.
that speaks volumes, because as a parent, you want to stay there. You want to stay there to make sure. But it's like, they obviously suspected the stepmother.
Well, let's talk about him moving out, because that also has a lot of suspicious activity around it. That afternoon, the Fox 12 reported that Kane Horman had moved out of the family's Northwest Portland home and had taken his and Terry's 19-month-old daughter with him.
Yeah.
Later that afternoon, they approached her at her home in Northwest Portland by the Oregonian, and Terri Moulton Horman denied that her husband and daughter had moved out. "Everything's good," she said. "Thumbs up. We heard that rumor. It's just a rumor. It needs to be squelched. Everything's fine."
I
But,
mean, obviously she's going to say that, though.
well, right. At 5:52 p.m., Kane Horman, Desiree, and Tony Young. Tony Young is Desiree's husband, and Desiree
Yeah.
is Kyron's mom.
Yeah.
They asked the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office to release a statement saying that they were cooperating with the investigation. Terri Horman's name was absent from the statement. Shortly after, media outlets in Portland were tipped off that Terri Horman had been served with a restraining order and a petition for dissolution of marriage at the family's home. The next day, a Multnomah County judge sealed the restraining order against Terri Moulton Horman. So the next day after that, Wednesday, Terri Moulton Horman slipped past a crowd of reporters at the foot of her driveway and returned home about 5:30 p.m. with a prominent Portland criminal defense attorney, Stephen Howes. Howes stayed at the home for about an hour and later confirmed he was representing Terri Horman.
They know she did something. And I know we always say innocent until proven guilty, but they know she did something. This is so eerily similar to the Gannon Stout case. It's not even freaking funny. Like, I'm not even saying that as like we're comparing cases. I'm saying this as like, the police knew she did something.
Mm-hmm.
Terri covered her tracks to the point where they didn't have anything on her except for speculation. And unfortunately, if you could arrest somebody on speculation, people would be arrested left and right.
Right.
But all they had on her was speculation.
Right.
And the defense attorney she hired, Stephen Howes, is actually a really good defense attorney. Like, he will shred your prosecution to bits. I have seen him do it before. I've heard him do it before. Like, he's good.
Yep.
And I hate saying that about defense attorneys, because 9 times out of 10 when you're dealing with defense attorneys, it's because of cases like this. But he's good. And she hired him for a reason. And the fact that there's the restraining order, there's the dissolution of marriage, there's the fact that her truck's been searched, there's the fact that they were looking for something.
Frankly, I would search the truck too, and I would possibly search it twice. If that was the last known location of him,
exactly. But
I would search it, whether or not.
Plus the fact that like she was the last person to see him alive. She was the last person.
Yep.
And you're telling me that school has no security cameras?
It's 2010.
We had security cameras in my high school in 2006. Oh. Do you remember when the high school tried to get burned down? When they tried to burn the high school, when some kids tried to burn the high school down? That's how they found out, is because they had security cameras in high school.
Which time? Because it happened when I was there too.
It was like 2006, 2007 time frame. It was some
guys
in my class.
In 2002. They tried to do that in like 2001.
Yeah, it was some guys in my class, but that's how they caught him, is because Dumbbutt had a giant afro and everybody knew who it was. So all they had to do was just show the picture of the guy with the mask around from the security camera. So you're telling me that the school had no security cameras. You're telling me that
Maybe only to a certain point. I mean, she could have parked. She could have
They
known where it
know
was.
something, and I
No.
understand that we go into every case saying, "You know what? Always have the benefit of the doubt." Terri, I'm saying this right now. Terri Horman did something to Kyron.
Mm.
And I will stand by that statement until the day that I frickin' die, because I fully believe that that woman had something to do with that little boy vanishing. And
So, I
his
mean,
mom says the same thing. Like, everybody believes that she did it.
yeah. Well, we're gonna get into
Yeah,
more of
we're
that,
gonna get to that. But like, back to, if we're assuming that somebody's innocent, quote unquote, why would you need a defense attorney? Come on, Terri. What are you hiding? What you hiding, Terri?
right. So there's more, of course. By this point, the search and investigation into Kyron's disappearance had cost Multnomah County about $300,000 to date. So as Kyron's disappearance hit the month anniversary and costs mounted for the cash-strapped county, Stanton could not say whether an arrest or resolution was coming anytime soon, nor how long the office could afford to sustain the effort. He said, ultimately, if we are unable to find Kyron, this could turn into a cold case. He acknowledged that in an exclusive interview with the Oregonian. But the next day, 2 days later, Sunday, July 4th, Maxine Bernstein of the Oregonian reported that a landscaper who worked for Kyron's family at the family's rural Northwest Portland home told authorities that the missing boy's stepmother offered to pay him to kill her husband.
Did nobody look at this woman's search history? Because let's be real here. Okay, let's be completely real here. Okay. Search histories are damning. You have Nicole Kessinger from the Chris Watch case searching about how rich she could become if her husband killed his wife. You have search history, and I can say this because it's public knowledge, it's been put out. You have search histories from the Gannon Stout case of his stepmother searching, not like how to kill somebody, but definitely like, is my husband cheating on me, blah blah blah, and everything, like all this other stuff. You have search histories are damning, y'all.
Yep,
like, did
they are.
anybody, like, this is suspicious behavior, especially if somebody comes forward and goes, hey, like, this woman who is like involved in the disappearance of this boy asked me to kill her husband for her.
Yeah.
Also, why didn't you come forward before?
Well, I mean, this is a month later, right? He said that Terri Moulton Horman approached him with the murder for hire plot 6 to 7 months before Kyron disappeared.
Bruh.
Yeah, she reportedly offered the landscaper, who advertises his expertise in lawn care, a large sum of money to carry out the scheme. 4 days later, Kane Horman asked a judge to order Terri Moulton Horman to move out of his house. A Multnomah County judge released the petition in support of Kane Horman's restraining order against his wife.
I don't even have. Why would you wait that long, one, to come forward and be like, hey, this lady, I'm sorry, if some lady came up to me and said, hey, can you kill my husband for me? I'd be like, yeah, sure. Let me make this call real quick and go straight to the police.
I mean, it might also be that it took time to get his tip through because of all the other tips that were possibly flooding in.
So then you walk into the police station.
Well, another 4 days later.
6 to 7 months before.
I understand.
I'm sorry, but if somebody had come to me and asked me to kill somebody for them, and no, I would go straight to the police.
Another 4 days later, criminal defense attorney Stephen Howes notified the court that Terri Moulton Horman would not contest to her husband's restraining order or his push to force her out of their Portland home. In a court document, Kane Horman asked that his estranged wife be held in contempt, saying she violated a restraining order against him by starting a sexual relationship with one of his high school friends, sharing sealed legal information, and trying to kidnap their daughter. At the end of that week, an out-of-court settlement, Terri Horman agreed to vacate the house on Northwest Sheltered Nook Road. She immediately left for Roseburg, where her parents have a home. The next day, Kane Horman and his daughter Kiara returned to their home. Nearing the end of July, reporter Maxine Bernstein wrote that law enforcement officials have been putting pressure on a small circle of friends of Terri Moulton Horman, including 43-year-old Dee Dee Spitcher of Tualatin. Investigators Speicher's condominium in Tualatin the previous week and had interviewed people who saw Speicher on June 4th, the day Kyron disappeared. Speicher was a presence at the Horman house after Kyron's dad moved out in late June. She was also seen driving Terri Moulton Horman to and from her attorney's office in downtown Portland. Speicher is not the first person who has assisted Terri Horman in those weeks to have been drawn into and suspected within the investigation. Police also said Michael Cook, who was also seen at the Horman home after Kane moved out, has been interviewed by authorities. Cook was a high school friend of Kyron Horman who showed up at the couple's home after Kyron disappeared.
Okay, so this Dee Dee person quite honestly sounds like a ride or die friend. Like, hey, like, I probably know that you killed this kid, but I love you too much. But then it also makes me wonder, were you involved in it? Like, I know a lot of people.
We're going to get there in the next thing. I have more information about her.
Like, she seems like a ride or die friend, but at the same time, and I don't mean that in an endearing way, like, at all.
Nope.
But, like, I mean, at the same time, like, you got to look at these famous cases like Chris Watts. People still think that the dude's innocent, even though there was overwhelming evidence. He admitted to them. Like, he admitted to the murders. The homeboy is, like, getting love letters in jail. Nicole Kessinger, who changed her name and her identity, is still sending him letters in jail so they can talk about it. And I'm sitting here going, what? So you got, like, Ted Bundy was getting letters in jail and stuff because of how hot he was. By the way, Ted Bundy was not hot. If you think he is, you are gross and need therapy. Like, you have these people who, like, there's overwhelming evidence that they did these things, and people are still writing them, like, being their ride or die friend. And I'm sitting here like, how much are they paying you?
So on Friday, July 23rd, the Oregonian reported that detectives investigating the disappearance of Kyron had searched Dee Dee's Speicher's condominium and interviewed people who saw her the day that Kyron disappeared. She was doing gardening work for a Northwest Portland homeowner on June 4th. She abruptly left the house about 11:30 a.m. and didn't return until an hour to 90 minutes later. Another person working at the home called her to come in for lunch, and the homeowner called her on her cell phone, but she wasn't reachable. Detectives have questioned both the homeowner and the other person who was working on the home that day.
I don't have any comments anymore because, like, I'm telling you, all these cases that I've seen, that I've read about, that I've looked at, some of these people who have done terrible shit have these ride or die friends. And I'm like, look, I understand that you want to be a good friend, but you're being a good friend to the wrong person, man.
Well, she was subpoenaed and came in for questioning at the end of July. And on the weekend of August 7th through 8th, searchers and investigators resumed a ground search for Kyron Horman. The search focused on the 2.2-mile old Germantown Road loop, not far from the home where Dee Dee Speicher, one of Terri Moulton Horman's friends, was gardening the day Kyron went missing. On Tuesday, August 10th, personal emails sent by Terri Moulton Horman detailing the day of Kyron's disappearance were obtained by various media organizations. During a morning press conference on Wednesday, August 11th, investigators said they sought details about several possible sightings of the Horman family truck, including 2 at different locations around Skyline School, as well as 2 Westside Fred Meyer stores. Investigators appealed for the public for investigative assistance and released staged photos of the truck at approximate locations. On August 17th, Terri's friend Dee Dee told People magazine she did not leave the 38-acre nursery where she was working the day Kyron vanished.
Obviously, she's going to say that her friend didn't leave. Obviously, because she's covering for her. The fact that she turns her phone off for 90 minutes.
Dee Dee said that she didn't.
Yeah, but still, like...
Yeah. No, I know.
Obviously, she's going to say that she didn't leave, but the fact that she turned her phone off for 90 minutes, the fact that she was unreachable, the fact, like, if you turn your phone...
was gone.
Yeah, if you turn your phone completely off, a lot of people don't realize this, but if you turn your phone completely off, it cuts off any kind of GPS signal tracking. If you put your phone in airplane mode, that's going to keep your phone's going to keep tracking. It's going to keep tracking your location and everything. But if you turn your phone completely off and take the battery out,
I don't know that that's what she did. She just didn't answer her phone.
I feel like if they weren't able to find anything on her phone of like GPS dates or whatever, because it's 2010, we still had pretty good cell phones
We
back
don't
then.
know. That information hasn't been released. But
But she probably
they
turned her
did
phone off.
start honing in on an area more and more.
Yeah, of course they did.
So,
of course they did.
It's possible she just didn't answer her phone. She had it on, and they tracked her, and they say, she might be in this area, or he might be in this area. On August 20th, an exclusive story by Lynn Terry in the Oregonian, Kyron Horman and Desiree Young described changes in Terri Horman's behavior starting in 2005. Terri Horman was depicted by former in-laws and a former roommate as a mix of contradictions. Someone who's caring and controlling, self-centered and giving, demanding and short-tempered. On Wednesday, August 25th in the afternoon, Terri Moulton Horman appeared in court accompanied by her lawyers. Her divorce lawyer, Peter Bunch, filed a legal memo arguing that she couldn't proceed at the time to protect her rights of property, custody, and parenting time because she is a de facto suspect in the disappearance of Kyron and the center of a police investigation. However, by September 21st, Clear Channel began to gradually take down the Kyron Horman billboards. And the weekend of October 2nd through 3rd, search and rescue personnel from multiple jurisdictions returned to Sauvie Island looking for any clues in the disappearance of Kyron. Multnomah County Sheriff's Office spokeswoman Lieutenant Mary Lindstrand did not comment on what searchers were looking for or if anything was found during the large ground search. On October 7th, around 1:30, Judge Keith Meisenheimer ruled to delay the divorce case between Kyron Horman and Terri Horman until January of 2011. The judge cited Terri Horman's Fifth Amendment right to avoid testifying in a manner that might implicate her in a crime. Then, on November 15th, Desiree Young appeared on NBC's Today Show and accused Terri Moulton Horman of having a, and I quote, severe hatred of Kyron.
Okay. That is a real thing. When you are a step parent, I've seen way too many parents marry people that don't love their kids the way they should. Mm-hmm. And stuff. And I don't know, because throughout this entire thing, nothing about abuse has been mentioned, nothing that Terri has done, but it could be mental, it could be emotional, it could be anything but physical. So nobody really knew that Kyron was being abused. And quite frankly, it wouldn't surprise me if he was being abused by Terri. It really wouldn't. But a lot of people, and I'm not saying this to down on Kyron's dad at all, because if Terri has gotten away with what she has done for this long, she is master at manipulating people, which means she probably manipulated Kyron's dad. She probably made him think, oh yeah, she'll love my kids the way that I do and stuff like that. And they got married, and then she probably never showed the kind of person she was around him, because they never do. Because then when the kids can go back and be like, oh, like she said this, this, and this, they could be like, what are you talking about? She's never like been mean to you before like that. Like, what are you talking about? Or they turn another cheek. Like there are families that just the dad just turns another cheek, and that's even worse.
Yep.
But obviously his mother, like as a mother, as a mom, you know when somebody is being fake around your kids. You know when somebody actually genuinely truly loves your kids. You know when somebody is like tolerating them because they have to. So as a mother, and with Terri, with everything I've researched about this case, every interview I have ever seen her in, she's there. And it's, when she is talking, it's all about her, and it's all about how everybody thinks that she did this stuff to Kyron, and how everybody thinks that she's so guilty. And it really just reminds me of another stepmom who went on live TV and did the exact same thing. And like I said, the cases are eerily similar, and it bugs the hell out of me that this woman has not been caught yet, because she covered her tracks so well.
On January 30th of 2011, authorities resumed the search for Kyron, but shifted it to an area in the forested hills west of Sauvie Island, saying they had new and, quote, very specific reasons. About 50 searchers and 7 cadaver detection dogs were employed. Searchers set a goal of scouring the rural areas north and west of Portland, crossing from Multnomah County into corners of Washington and Columbia counties. The search focused on several parcels of private property, mostly logging land along the Northwest Skyline Boulevard between Rocky Point Road and, I'm going to guess, Loggy Trail Road, and around the Dixie Mountain area. But nothing was found. By the weekend of March 26th and 27th, searches turned to a stretch of Northwest Skyline Road south of Rocky Point Road and a gravel road further north of the Dixie Mountain area to continue looking for him, as they couldn't cover the full area in January. And anybody who doesn't know, in the Pacific Northwest, we do get winter, and it usually happens like end of January through beginning of March.
So much fun.
That's when we get
No.
our snow. We don't get it in like November. I mean, we might get a little in November, December, but like we get our snow. It's here for usually like a week or so. It's annoying.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Winter in the Pacific Northwest sucks because you never know when it's coming. It could come in December. It could come in February.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, it could come in May.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could have a perfect spring week, and then the next week it's like 3 inches of snow, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah, that's happened before. So, anyway, it's clear they really believe that he's still in the area.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, that wouldn't surprise me because that's a big area.
Right.
Like, that's a big area.
Yep.
Like, if you got the Washington, the Columbia counties, Multnomah County, West of Port, like, that's a big area.
Yep.
And so, honestly, if he was out there and if she did something to him, it wouldn't surprise me if he was under something, buried something, and then if you did it right, like, there's tons of ways to figure out how to hide a body without getting caught. And that's the thing. That's the scary thing. And this isn't like this was done like back in like the early 2000s. Like, this is in 2010. Internet was readily accessible. Incognito tabs were readily accessible. Torrents were readily accessible. I don't know how well this lady was with electronics, but if somebody was helping her, it would have been really easy to be able to do this.
To add to the drama, December 31st, 2011, a Multnomah County judge finalized the divorce of Kyron Horman and Terri Moulton Horman. And 3 years later, on August 4th of 2014, a judge denied Terri Moulton Horman's request for a name change. She had filed a petition in Douglas County on June 30th to change her name to Claire Stella Sullivan. She said she wanted to avoid what she called the stigma of the Horman name, but the judge cited the ongoing criminal investigation in denying her.
Yeah, so you can't change your name when you are a suspect in a criminal investigation. Right. A lot of people seem to think that, oh, you could just do that. Like, oh, like, look at Nicole Kessinger. She was able to change her name. It's because the police didn't see her as a suspect, which I still think she sold her soul to the devil and she did something. But we're not going to get into that. Yeah. But because if it's an open case and you are actively being investigated, you cannot change your name because then you can disappear into the wind. Right.
Well, August 14th, it was reported that she spoke publicly about Kyron for the first time On August 14th, it was reported that Terri Moulton Horman spoke publicly about Kyron for the first time since shortly after he vanished more than 4 years before. In comments to the judge during her name change hearing, she said, "He needs to be found. I love my son. I want him home more than anything."
So at this point, I really think there's only one person that can shorten that. Terri, I'm looking at you, and if you listen to this, we know.
Well, even more suspiciously, on November 26th, 4 months after being denied a name change in Douglas County, Terri Moulton Horman filed another petition to change her name, this time in Lane County Circuit Court, and this time to Claire Kissel. But on December 10th, a hearing on the name change was canceled after Terri Horman withdrew the petition.
So on top of all these different aliases, she really did not want to be associated with this case anymore.
Nope.
Which would be understandable if you were innocent.
It's understandable whether you're innocent or guilty, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
But to a point, I don't blame her. It just makes it so much more suspicious, really. And additional suspicions came in September of 2016 when she told Dr. Phil McGraw on his talk show that she believes Kyron was kidnapped by a man in a white pickup truck.
Dr. Phil's a hack, and I will stand by that. But Why did she wait 6 years to do that?
Yeah, right. I imagine it has to do with the information that was really put out just recently, or rather, cover up what may come out later, and did. On May 26th, 2020, true crime writer Rebecca Morris released a book on the Kyron investigation called Boy Missing: The Search for Kyron Horman. Several people saw Kyron Horman leaving Skyline School with his stepmother the morning he disappeared, according
And
to the
police
book.
probably already knew that. Police probably already knew that, which is why
Right.
she
Which is
and
why
they
she can
probably
put it in the book.
well, and she probably gave and they probably gave her permission to
Mhm.
put it in the book because it's been 6 years. They're probably gonna
It's
they've been
been more,
dropping
well,
breadcrumbs.
no, this was 2020. So this
Oh,
is
okay,
10
yeah,
years after the case.
yeah. So they're dropping breadcrumbs, which means they want her to know that they know.
Yeah. Um, it also claims Kyron's regular bus driver, along with a classmate and two of the classmates' family members, witnessed Kyron walk through the school parking lot with Terri Horman and her infant daughter on June 4th, 2010. And then, Friday, May 29th, Little Boy Lost, an ID mystery, aired on the Investigation Discovery Channel, telling the story of Kyron and the investigation that followed his disappearance. On June 4th, 2020, for the 10th anniversary of the case, Multnomah County Sheriff Mike Reese released this statement. Kyron Horman's disappearance continues to have a profound impact on our community. We remain just as dedicated to this investigation as we did 10 years ago. In collaboration with our major crimes team partners and the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office and the FBI, we are pursuing all investigative leads and will continue to do so until Kyron is located. This case remains open and active.
And the reason why it's not closed is because they know she did it. They're just trying to get more information because the thing is they know she did it.
Yeah. I think they're trying to find him first.
No, they're not trying to find him. They know that they will never get his location unless she gives it up. At this point, they know for a fact that they will never get his location unless she gives it up. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get enough evidence to bring her in to prosecute her without a body.
Yep.
Because I bet you dollars to donuts, they're gonna try and prosecute her and give her all this stuff and possibly put her on death row. And they're gonna be like, if you give us his body, we'll just give you life in prison.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do. And I'm not saying it's a right thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. And yes, this woman, we know she did it. I know she did it. You know she did it. Desiree and her ex-husband know she did it. The police know she did it. Terri herself knows she did it. She did something to this little boy. And unfortunately, she's diabolical enough that she was able to hide this body. And at the end of the day, all his parents want is just to have him home so that way they can have some closure. It's not the closure that they want. It's not the closure that they need, but it's the closure that they will have.
Yep.
So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get enough evidence against her. So when they go to court, they can sit down in front of the judge and be like, look, we understand there's no body right now, but we have enough proof against her that she did something to this little boy. And we want to give her death penalty unless she gives us his body.
Yep.
Which honestly, I think they should. Also, if you have not read it, you should check out the book Love You Forever. It's Love You Forever: The Search for Kyron Horman, and Desiree actually wrote it with a true crime author who I actually really like. It's with a true crime author who I actually really like. But Desiree basically she wrote it with Rebecca Morris, and it's a hard book.
So the
It is a
same
hard
lady
book.
who wrote the new one.
Yeah, I think
Rebecca Morris wrote the book.
Yeah, so Rebecca Morris wrote Boy Missing: The Search for Kyron Horman, which was written by her. But she also wrote Love You Forever with Desiree. And it's basically that's what it is. It's a love letter to her son and stuff. And it's rough to read. It is. I remember reading it and I remember reading parts of it and everything, and it was rough. But the fact that Desiree and her ex-husband are sitting here in 2020 living their lives trying to figure out what happened to their son, and that's like because they're gonna forever be stuck in 2010.
Yep.
They're forever going to be stuck on that day in 2010 until their son comes home.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Terri is out here and living her life, doing whatever she wants. She got married again. Like, I think she has another baby too. Like, I'm appalled. I am appalled that that people like this walk free. I'm appalled that people like this are able to get away with something this heinous.
Yeah.
And these parents can't do jack shit about it because they have to go by a law. And the police can't do jack shit about it because they can't just arrest her right now. Because if they arrest her right now and they don't have enough evidence and that shit gets overturned, they cannot prosecute her again. They have one shot to do this.
Yep. Yeah, you can't do double jeopardy. So.
But I really feel like this, like in the last year with 2020, I really feel like with all the breadcrumbs they're dropping, the 10th anniversary statement, the fact that they're searching and they're searching and they're digging and they're digging and they're digging, I feel like they either have something or they're about to have something. So I'm hoping and I'm praying that maybe by the end of this year or maybe by the middle of next year, we can see an improvement in this case.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of it has to do with the case that we keep referencing that's so similar.
Yes.
So, Kyron would have graduated from high school with the class of 2020. All of the markers are really hard, Desiree told the Oregonian/Oregon Live the day before the 10-year anniversary of his disappearance. The fact that I don't get to be a part of that, it makes me angry, she said. Someone took that away from us, and it's not right. Over the past 10 years, Kyron Horman has said his thinking hasn't changed about his son's disappearance. I think he was taken from school. I don't think he's in the area. I think he's with somebody else, he said. We don't have enough information to really tell us whether he's alive or not. There's nothing conclusive in either direction, so we continue to believe he's out there. You, listener, can help the search by sharing any information about Kyron's disappearance by calling the MCSO tip line at 503-988-0560.
Thank you for listening to True Crime and Chill. For more information, including case notes, photos, and sources, please visit our website at truecrimeandchill.com. You can also stay connected with us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Look for new episodes from us each week on Tuesday.